Larry Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpway Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585 346 3000 is the number if you want to call. And I'll be taking calls after our first break. You know, being here in New York City, where I live in Queens, I often see what's happening and the trouble that's happening. And I wonder sometimes, how in the world are we going to be able to fix our problems? How can we, in a city as large as this city is, how can we fix our problems? Most people think we'll throw more money at it. That's what most people think. Well, it's underfunded. Oh, we need a better budget. I hear that all the time. And while I'm sure sometimes extra money is going to help, I mean, I'm not against money, right? I hope we all get lots of money. That's a nice thing. But money doesn't mean we're going to fix it. So there's a problem. Because most of us aren't in charge, obviously. The oligarchy in our state is in charge. In most states is in charge. They decide. And it reminded me of something. It's going to sound a little bit awkward, but stay with me. My daughter was in school years ago. She's out of high school now, but she was in school, junior high school. And she was being bullied by a boy. And as I taught her, to fight back. Initially, she didn't want to fight back because she was told, you can't fight back. You've got to sit there and wait for the powers that be to assist. And I said, no. That's not how you do it. I've taught you better. You fight back. And she did. And when she fought back, she got in trouble. Of course she did. So the vice principal brings me in and says, look, this is a problem here. Your daughter's fighting back. I said, yeah, I get it. But wasn't she being bullied? He's very forward. He goes, yeah, absolutely. She's being bullied. So she fought back, right? He's like, yeah, correct. But you can't do that. You have to tell a teacher or tell an administrator, you can't fight back. So she's in trouble. And usually we suspend people for this, suspend students for this. And I thought, wow, suspend. He went, yeah, usually for a day or maybe two. I said, make it a week. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Make it a week. He couldn't believe it. Blown away by that. He said, well, it'll be on a permanent record. I don't care. I taught my daughter the right thing. She did. I'm happy about that. Good. Punish her. I'll take her out for the week. We'll have a great time. He walked away from it. He backed off. I said, well, no, we're not going to do any of this. And he backed away. The goal was compliance. That was the goal. Compliance. Now, most parents wouldn't have thought the goal was compliance. They would have thought the goal was, we're trying to raise the kids in a good environment, help them out, blah, 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 safety, all those things. We are above you and we're going to make everything safe. But what it was about was compliance. So why would I bring that up when I'm talking about money coming in to fix things? Because once we allow the money to come in from above, not only do they try to fix things, yes, I'm air quoting, but they also want to have you comply. There's a price to pay for their fixing, and the price is your compliance. That's always the price. And to be forward, that's actually the goal. The goal isn't to fix anything, which is why nothing gets fixed, but you have to keep complying. That's what keeps happening. And I say, okay, Larry, all right, I got you. You're a libertarian. You don't like the federal government coming down, blah, blah, blah. Guilty as charged. I am a libertarian and I don't want the federal government coming down. That's true. And when they do, they will always force compliance and not actually fix anything. But there's a worse part. In this case I brought up, this boy had been bullying other kids, not just my daughter. And most of the other kids were just sitting there and taking it. Yeah. Hoping that one day the school system would save them or do the right thing or whatever. But they became helpless. So not only did this help from above not actually come, but it also pushed the kids into a learned helplessness to where they just sat there waiting for something to happen and not doing anything on their own. It broke their own will. So why do I say that for New York State? Because look at all of our problems that we have in New York State. So many of them for decades. And what is our answer? In every case, you're seeing it right now with all of the immigrants who are coming to New York State. I already gave you an answer for it months ago, years ago. I gave you an answer. Where's their answer? Their answer is, and you're seeing it now, Uncle Joe, write us a check. Come on, Uncle Joe, write us a check. That's the answer. Federal government, Joe Biden, write me a check. And the sad part is, he's gonna. He's like, yes, absolutely. I will happily write you a check. And when I write you that check, what do I want in return? Compliance. Because that's always the price. I want compliance. But if you're Mayor Eric Adams or Governor Kathy Hochul, you're happy for that. Yeah, I'll have my people comply to all your rules all day long. I'm not going to comply to any of them because I'm elite. So I'm not applying to any of them. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to comply with any of them. But I'll force my people to. And if I don't, excuse me, and if they don't, I'll arrest them or fine them or punish them. Of course, I'll have them absolutely comply with all your rules. In fact, I'll hire a bunch of them, give them jobs with important titles and badges, even though they won't be cops, but I'll give them badges anyway, and important titles, and I'll have them enforce the rules on their own friends and family. It'll be amazing. I will destroy communities as long as you write me a check and I stay in power. You might say to yourself, Larry, aren't you exaggerating? Am I? Am I? You can see the problems throughout the state. You can see them. Who's taking responsibility for them? Nobody. They're just pointing upstairs. So Eric Adams says, we, in the case of immigrants, and it's not just immigrants, it's housing, it's homelessness. It just came to the migrant issue, the immigrant issue just came to the forefront recently. But there's tons of problems everywhere. I'm bringing this one up because this one happened to come to the forefront. He didn't say, you know what? I made a mistake. Maybe we shouldn't have been such a sanctuary city without having a plan, or maybe we should have changed the plan, or maybe I made an error, or anything. None of that. He said, we're going to need help from the federal government. He didn't even say Kathy Hochul, because Kathy ain't got no money. She got no money. She's not going to give you any money. She's all she's going to say is, all right, fine. Send them up to Syracuse. Send them up to Rochester. Send them up to Buffalo. You can just send them every place else. That's fine. Do that. Then together we'll get mad at Uncle Joe. You yell at him from New York City. I'll yell at him from upstate, and we'll get a bunch of checks in. And when we get those checks, we'll make sure we give our cronies a bunch of money. And one thing we will not do is actually solve the problem. Larry, you're exaggerating. Am I? Let me ask you, what's the plan? Have you heard it? They have access to television. They have access to radio. They have access to Twitter. They have access to YouTube. They could be announcing their plans all day long. They can go on CNN if they want to, MSNBC. They can go on all those if they want to and tell us the way they're going to fix things. Here's the solution. There is none. The solution is Uncle Joe will write us a check. And in response, we will give him compliance. That's the answer. I know that sounds cruel. I know that sounds odd, almost Machiavellian. Yeah, but it's true. And you know it is. In your heart, you're saying to yourself, Larry, I don't like how that sounds. I get it. I don't like it either. But I think you know that's what's actually happening. And the sad part is there are a lot of people who are doing one of two things. Just checked out. Can't fix it. Doesn't matter. We'll just let it go. Or others who decided that I'm wrong because it feels bad. Just because it feels bad. No logic. Feels bad. I don't like what you're saying, Larry. So therefore it's wrong. I'm going to put my head in the sand. I think neither is the right answer. Am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and the internet chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
To live the quality of life we deserve in truth and freedom, informed by our Constitution, our laws, and traditions, we need to pick the best leaders possible. Recent experience certainly illustrates that. Free and accurate elections are essential if we're going to restore our society and safeguard our rights. New York Citizens Audit is a volunteer, nonpartisan group which has been lobbying for open source audits of the State Board of Elections and reform of the electoral process statewide. Did you know Citizens Audit has uncovered over 1 million felony violations of election law, that in 2020 there were 625,000 more voter registrations than existing voting age citizens in just 6 New York counties, that there were 338,000 more votes cast than voters who voted. These are just a few shocking examples of the urgent need for reform. You can help. Visit auditny.com and learn the facts, how to volunteer, and make a difference in your community. Again, volunteer, donate, or spread the word. Start at auditny.com. That's auditny.com.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
We've got Craig.
Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. So happy that you're giving me a chunk of your afternoon. 585-346-3000 is the number to reach out and say hi and tell me how right I am or how wrong I am. It's fine. But I prefer the right part. That's even better. Let me grab a call if I could. I'm going to grab Craig. Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
What's going on?
Well, I haven't answered the question. It is yes, we are way too reliant on Uncle Joe and the Feds.
Yes.
So that was easy. That was an easy answer. And I hear you talking about the compliance thing, and I feel like a lot of people dismiss that because they're like, that's not what's going on. You're silly.
Mm-hmm.
And I point them to, well, no one forced you to get a vaccine. Nobody forced you to get the jab. Nobody forced anybody to do any. It's the same idea. Okay, maybe when Uncle Joe writes the check, he doesn't say, now I expect you to comply. But when Uncle Joe comes and tells you, hey, I'm going to do this, you say, Uncle Joe, I don't want to. He says, oh, remember that $3 billion? Maybe Be a shame if
Right.
that stopped coming. That's how that works, you know? So,
Yes.
yes, maybe it's not explicit, but it sure as hell implied.
I would agree. I think sometimes it actually is explicit, but I think it begins by not being. And what I mean by that is, for me to actually move you, you have to either believe that you are afraid of me, that I will physically do something. I'll take your job away. I'll take your kids away. I'll put you in jail, right? So either I will physically do something, or I have some moral or community authority. For example, the idea being government. Well, it's the government. People voted. Or if you're religious, it could be your clergy. Or if you care about your community, it could be a community leader, right? Any of those things where I have some type of importance that you will go, okay, I'll say yes. And I think so they begin without direct, but then I've gained the power, and now you kind of feel like you have to. Or if you don't, your friends won't like you, or you can't go to work, or you can't have a social life.
Well, yeah, and what I don't understand is I know generalizations are not always real, but everybody understands this, I think, when it comes to certain situations. You know, everyone jokes about, well, the first one's free, right? You know, you get addicted and oh, bang. Like they'll say that about drugs, but the same person will be like, no, there's no way that it could be a quid pro quo when I take stuff from the government. There's no way that they could call on that and say, by the way, maybe now you got to do something for me, you know? And it's just, it's very easy to see parallels if you're looking for them, but I think a lot of people don't want to.
But I want to go one step further. It goes to a point where it's self-selecting, meaning I become so accustomed. The example I've given, I'll go back to my kids again. What if I were to say, take my daughter and say, daughter, don't go to work once you graduate high school. I mean, she's already off to college. But in theory, I say, don't go to work, don't go to college, just stay home. Don't pay rent, don't get a job. I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to clean for you. I'm going to do your laundry. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you an allowance. You can go and party if you want. No worries, just stay here. And I do that till she's 30. Now, she's dependent upon me. If I now go, yeah, you're an adult, get out. I'm the cruel one. I'm the bad one. I have literally made my daughter dependent upon me, and now I'm telling her to get out? How can she? I've given her no skills. I've given her no anything. I've basically just destroyed her. And I think we're doing that to Americans, to too many of them that were mad when they start doing something. And I mean, the government is, right? In my scenario, when my daughter says, you know, I'm looking for a job, I go, stop that. If you get a job, I'm throwing you out. Whoa, you throwing me out? Yeah, no job for my daughter. I do that. Oh my God. So now I've even scared my daughter that if she tries anything better to better herself, she loses everything. I think it comes to a point where my daughter doesn't want to leave anymore. I mean, I've made it to where she has no desire to leave. Am I making sense?
No, I think that's 100%. I think you're addressing the welfare state. It's designed to keep people in it. If I work myself out of the job, if I get people off of welfare, and yes. I'm also the success metric for that is how many people did we get on the rolls? That's literally how it's measured. How well did we do this year? How many people did we get services? So do you think people are going to try to give fewer services or more services when they're judged upon how many more people they can get on it? So it is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But there's another issue, right? Look, people do need help. And in this scenario, maybe my daughter goes out, falls in love with some guy, moves in with him. He's a jerk. The TV show, right? He's a jerk, takes her money, and now she's in trouble and she got to come back home because she lost her money and lost her job. Of course, if I love her, I should give her a hand up. Of course I should. Let her stay with me for a while, right? Support her a little bit while she kind of gets over this, and then move herself forward. I'm not against giving people hand-ups or even handouts. I'm not. I'm against an environment that encourages them to do nothing on their own. Some people can't. I get that. There are some people in a terrible spot who can't. but other people can. And when they try, we hammer them. So they go into the black market. So now they're cheating and now they're doing criminal activity when we should be helping them move forward. And that goes with immigrants. That goes with migrants. That goes with homeless. That goes with people with addiction problems. All we're doing is making an environment where we hold them and they must comply with us, not where we help them make the next step.
Yeah, well, and one of the other reasons that I called is I don't think this is just a New York problem. Obviously, it's a federal problem, so all the states are affected. The one specifically that comes to mind is Hawaii. Just had
yes.
Yeah, so now it's about time for Uncle Joe and BlackRock and everybody to go in there and remake Hawaii in their image. And if you want to dive down that rabbit hole, there's a few conspiracies, but I don't even think it's a conspiracy. I mean, it's just like you talk about burning the books. They literally burned the books on Hawaii. Now all landowners have nothing. Yeah, they literally did it. So now, side note, I don't know if they did it, right? But the idea is the same. However the fire happened, it's the same result. Just like with the lab leak thing, whether they released it or not, it's the same result. They're going to take advantage of it. Now you're going to have the government and big business come in and basically hijack Hawaii more so than they had it before.
But hold on, I want to touch this piece. This was life and death. What I mean by that is there's already stories of young people sitting in their house waiting for the government to tell them what to do. And they died. They were just sitting there waiting for the government to tell them what to do. Community couldn't react. Community couldn't do anything because there was no community plan. There was only a government plan. And when the government plan failed, people died.
Another call.
That's the hard part. Am I right, Craig?
Yeah, you're right. Now my thing is, okay, so we know the government is going to they're going to do something about it. They're going to send FEMA down there. They're going to get a bunch of contractors rich, and everyone's going to be sad because they're not actually going to fix anything. So is there something that we and people like us can do? Can we promote causes? Can we all get on a plane and fly down there? You know, how can you prevent the government and BlackRock's and those sorts of people from doing what we all know they're going to do? Or is it just hopeless? We can't stop them.
When it comes to this one, it is hopeless because the government will physically stop you from going to help without being under their umbrella. They will literally arrest you if you're there without being under their umbrella. So they will go there and do it. The goal was prior to this, building a community that could support itself. That was the goal, Craig. I got to let you run. Thank you for the call.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. This goes.
Paul.
Hawaii is a perfect example. Let me grab another call if I can. How are you, sir? Who am I talking to?
This is Paul.
Paul,
how are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call. I'll try to make it quick before a break. Larry, I love everything you're saying. Thanks for putting the message out. And amongst all us conservatives, I'm hoping we can create change locally because it seems like we all talk, all your listeners and all the other pundit listeners, they all talk about the same thing. And it seems like it's all it is just complaining daily and daily. We're not changing a thing. The revolution's here. The liberal left runs the show. We're becoming communists, and it's happening right before our eyes. So what message can you guys help promote as all the pundits get together? What can we do locally? Like, I was thinking of something like, back in the Revolutionary War, there was the Minutemen. They went out, they knew what to do by code, like what they need to do to help the community and for the country. Like, what can we do? Like, the next time the riots happen because the election doesn't go the right way, can we all get together and get in front between them and the police officers? Because the police officers aren't going to be able to help themselves, and they're not going to help us. Can we get between them and we all have a code and we get together and it's just going to happen? But I think just the constant talk is
what you're asking
for.
It's
so frustrating.
To be clear, is frustrating. I agree, it's frustrating. But if you try to get between anybody and the police are part of the system, and the system will survive. You see it with the people who were at Jan 6 again and again and again. How many of those individual people did they put away for just being part of it? Literally dozens upon dozens of them they put away. I don't want that to happen in New York State. We have to change this system. That's the critical piece. Standing up against a system.
But we're not going to do it by voting, Larry, because clearly the voting is not going to work. They got the system rigged. New York Gov't or New York Vote Audit.com has proven it. How are we going to change it? I mean, we can't sit around and be the good guys because there's three moves ahead of us.
It is by more people being involved at the local election level to ensure the local election is not rigged, and local victories will bring us larger victories. That's the answer. Local, more people involved. Paul, got a break, got to run. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Radio, 585-346-3000. Back with your calls and more than a chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date.
And we lost him, and we have Keith.
Keep your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure.
And it's because I was just talking to you.
IT needs are. Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Summer savings and off-road fun continue with the all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 6484 Route 96 in Victor. Try these deals. Lease a 2023 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4, only $299 a month for 36 months with $2,500 down. Must be Conquest or returning lessee. A 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4-door Sports 4XE is just $339 a month for 36 months, $3,500 down. A 2023 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Touring Minivan is just $499 a month for 36 months, $3,500 down. Choose from 7 Ram 1500 crew and quad cab pickups and get $4,000 in consumer cash for qualified buyers. All lease deals require first payment, DMV taxes and fees due at signing, 10,000 miles per year. Other conditions may apply. See dealer for details. We welcome Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers at Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and Finger Lakes. Visit the most beautiful new vehicle sales and service dealership in the area. Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now at 6484 Route 96, just east of Victor.
Baskin Livestock's success in recycling food waste into animal feed comes from a focus on growth and a belief that there's value in what others are tempted to discard. Their bank feels the same. While other financial institutions cycle through business relationships, Tompkins Bank knows the best things are worth preserving and lead to long-term growth. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
Genesee your path with GCC. GCC offers #1 value for a community college in Western New York. 60+ academic programs that are transferable too. Hands-on training in our state-of-the-art labs for solar electric technician, criminal justice, and healthcare. On-campus student housing. Registration is now open. Apply for free online at genesee.edu/apply. Start your journey today.
Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery has a great deal on Tuesdays. A large 4-topping pizza for $18, regular or gluten-free. Call 226-9575. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery in Avon.
Hey, do you like to fly on airplanes? How about a ride in a vintage C-47 cargo plane, the very same plane that dropped U.S. airborne troops over Normandy on D-Day? Visit NationalWarplaneMuseum.com for more information.
Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. It is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio. WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Before Paul went off, I apologize, Paul, for it being so short. I just want to be clear. You're right. It is very tough. It is the system's heavily rigged against us. Absolutely. The more people that are involved at a local level, the less chance things go south. More people involved in the actual election system, more people involved on the ground trying to win local elections, the better chance we get some movement, some change, enough change at the local level that begins to move up. I wish that was a quick answer. There is no quick answer, Paul. It took decades to get here. It's going to take at least years to get us back, if nothing else. So thank you for your call, Paul. I do appreciate it. I'm going to grab another call if I could. I'm going to grab Keith. Keith, how are you, sir?
You're correct. Paul and Craig both brought up very good points. Paul was very good. Craig was salient. I was glad that you were feisty and fighting against that school official who was putting down your daughter. I have 2 points to make. The first one you won't like. You said because you're libertarian, you don't like big government, but just because someone's libertarian, you don't represent everyone in your party. So here goes. Your fellow libertarian, Kevin Wilson, had a show on this station during the daytime, and he was demoted because most of the time, I'm going to say it, Mr. Wilson was a weenie, and now he can only be heard Thursdays at 8 p.m. with his sidekick, Tim O'Connor, who admitted on air that he smokes the weed. So that's unfortunate with Mr. O'Connor. I heard him plainly say he smokes marijuana. But Kevin Wilson is no Larry Sharpe, and I was very disappointed in the pansy attitude that Wilson was always taking, very soft and weak, and now he can only be heard on Thursday evening. So he was correctly demoted off the daytime hours here on this station. And secondly, we're talking about compliance. Does everyone know that the Hochul Democrats, they want to, from womb to tomb, they want to have everyone under state Medicare medical plans, completely even doing away with all private insurance. I've not heard that brought up. That is a great drastic scheming plan that Hochul and the Dems want to bring forth. And I'm wondering if the demand by the Albany Dems to do this will be, as they say, the whatever breaks the camel's back there to get, even in Craig's words, people really animated to fight back. So that's my question for you to let me go.
All right.
Will New Yorkers put up with the Dems taking everyone and putting all of us under one state plan? They were very bad with COVID. Look how bad all levels of government messed that up.
Let me touch those then if I can, Keith. One, Kevin. I love Kevin. He's my friend. I think he's great. I do think he's probably was trying to be nicer because Kevin is a nice guy. So maybe that's what he's trying to achieve. I still love Kevin. I don't think he was demoted at all. I think he just had different stuff going on in his life and he moved the show. That's what I believe. I also love Tim. You have every right to not like them. No worries whatsoever. You have every right to feel how you feel about them. But I know Tim. I love Tim too. And I don't mind that he smokes the weed. Personally, I don't, right? People know this. I support legalization of cannabis completely. I personally do not partake, but I don't get mad at people who want to partake. I don't mind at all. You're right. Keith, you're right. I'm libertarian. I don't mind at all. I'm totally okay with it. I love those guys. All good. When it comes to the state, I think it's a bluff. Now, I'm not sure on this. And the reason why I think it's a bluff is because New York State is the only state in the union that has an insurance board. An insurance board is very strong in New York State, and it wants to make sure it's still making money. I would be afraid if they were to make a deal with the insurance board to where the insurance companies still somehow get paid through a New York State system. If that were to happen, then I would think it's true. Otherwise, I think it's a bluff to keep the far left people believing that New York State would go to a single payer system. So they'll keep voting for them and not move further left to like the Green Party or the Working Families Party or something like that. So my gut at this moment, Keith, is this is a bluff. It's not real because New York State's insurance brokers are very powerful, as are trial lawyers who also sue insurance companies and make lots of money. So if they change the deal to where somehow they get a cut, I'd be scared. Until then, I think it's a bluff. It's like, we're gonna do this thing because we love you, but not do it. It's like Biden and getting rid of student debt, not really getting rid of student debt. I think it's a bluff. Did I give you my opinion? I don't know if you like that, Keith.
Well, in closing, and I mean this, on your topic of compliance, people being very compliant, very soft and weak and just stupid and even flat out insane, as many Americans have become, and I mean insane. In closing, the Dems mean business. If they could, it would be single payer. And I'm wondering,
yes,
would New Yorkers truly fight back? Would this be, again, the tipping point where New Yorkers, even a blue state, said, no, that's a bridge too far. Now this is enough hochul and you super majority. Would they now, New Yorkers, really fight back on that?
My gut is they would leave. That's my gut. My gut is they'd vote with their feet. It's already happening. That's what I think will happen. My gut is they'll just pack up and leave.
All right.
But
thank you.
I hope your goal is true. I hope we do fight back. I want to fight back. My worry is we won't.
All right. Fight, everyone. Mr. Sharpe here, standing up for his daughter against that foolish school official. Everyone, fight. Listen to Mr. Sharpe in that regard, and everyone, fight. Don't stop
Thank you, my
fighting.
friend.
Thank you. Bye.
I appreciate it. So I want to grab a couple of comments if I could. And it was something that really stuck with me. Patty says online on YouTube, she says, living in public government housing makes it impossible to help others. It's against the rules. I cannot tell you, Patty, how much that bothers me. Because when you're in trouble, the first thing you need, whatever trouble you're in, financial, physical, mental, doesn't matter. Whatever trouble you're in, the first thing you need is somebody who cares. And when you find somebody who cares, now you can find out what you need, how to get help, whatever the step is. And sometimes, particularly when you're in a real bad spot, and Patty, you and I have talked, you know I've been in a very bad spot. I know you've been in very bad spots. Sometimes you just need somebody to say, I got you. That's it. Just that. And that makes you go, oh, somebody's got me. Okay, maybe I can handle this now. Let me get my head in the game and let me get going. And government rules like that drive me crazy. Think about this. And is anyone listening? If you're in a financial, physical, emotional, bad spot, wouldn't it be better to be with somebody? Wouldn't it be better to let someone come into your home if they're in trouble? Or maybe you want to help them? Or maybe they want to help you? Wouldn't that be a good thing? But the government says no. Now, if I own my own house, I do whatever I want. The wealthy do whatever they want. They own their own homes. They do what they want. I have 10 people in my house. Who cares? It's my house. But you're in trouble. And the government comes in to help you. But now you can't help yourself or those around you or those you love. Thank you for that comment, Patty. It drives me crazy. I want people to be able to help each other. But again, they can't. This goes back to the idea before the other gentleman, Paul, was talking about. I said they will physically stop you. Yes, the government will physically stop you. They will not let it work. 100%. Michael Voss brings up currently over 470 people convicted of trespassing and labeled as domestic bad guys. I'm on YouTube, Mike, don't get me in trouble. For Jan 6 without doing anything violent or wow. I had no idea it was that many. I thought it was a couple dozen. I didn't realize it was in the hundreds. I didn't even know that. That's amazing. Paul again. There we go. Thank you. He's literally giving you the data I'm talking about. The government will do whatever it can to survive itself. That's it. Yes. Thank you for that information, Mike. I did not think it was that high. I thought it was a couple. I thought it was a couple dozen. I think a couple hundred. Wow. I am surprised. Joe says, complaining is good. Action is great. Yes, yes, and yes. And again, look, would I love for a libertarian to, as a third party in 2024, win the presidency and change the country? Of course I would. That would be amazing. I just realized the odds of that are really, 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 really slim. Like, I would not bet on that if I were you. I get it. But can we have local third parties, local independent people, local libertarians, local people who care making impact and winning elections? Yes, but even not winning. I want them to win. Of course I do. But even just making enough waves again and again to make impact, we stop making the change. And here's the hardest part. And Paul, I hope you're still on. Keith, I hope you're still on. We won't know when it's going to tip. If we keep the pressure on, it will feel like we're not moving at all. And eventually, it'll turn. Boom, it turns. And all of a sudden, it collapses. I don't know. Is that next year, 10 years, 5 years? I don't know. But to Keith's point, we have to keep the pressure up. Paul, maybe I'm fooling myself. It's possible. I've said it before. I am an optimist, no doubt. I'm an optimist. I don't want to leave my state. I don't want to move away. I love this beautiful state, and I want to keep pushing. So I do. I keep pushing because I'm hoping that at one point I push just enough to push it over the top. And again, we won't know until all of a sudden, like, oh my God, it worked. What happened, Paul? Hurry up. Let's go. It went over. And you'll be like, my God, let me get my coat. You won't even realize. 100%. Dennis says, never let a crisis go to waste. I'll go one step further, Dennis. One step further. Never let a crisis not just go to waste, but never let it not create more crisis. Right? Create more power. Create even more. The fires in Maui will ensure more government control when government control is why it failed in the first place. And that's the craziest part. Government control was why it was as bad as it was. So what we ask for? More government control. And sad part is, we'll beg for it. Please give us more. We want more. Am I wrong? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Shortwave Radio. Back with your calls and more internet chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
To live the quality of life we deserve in truth and freedom, informed by our Constitution, our laws, and traditions, we need to pick the best leaders possible. Recent experience certainly illustrates that. Free and accurate elections are essential if we're going to restore our society and safeguard our rights. New York Citizens Audit is a volunteer, nonpartisan group which has been lobbying for open source audits of the State Board of Elections and reform of the electoral process statewide. Did you know Citizens Audit has uncovered over 1 million felony violations of election law? That in 2020, there were 625,000 more voter registrations than existing voting age citizens in just 6 New York counties, that there were 338,000 more votes cast than voters who voted. These are just a few shocking examples of the urgent need for reform. You can help. Visit auditny.com and learn the facts, how to volunteer, and make a difference in your community. Again, volunteer, donate, or spread the word. Start at auditny.com. That's auditny.com.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000. So glad you give me a chunk of your afternoon. You know, I feel like what we talked about is not just at the federal level. It is, right? It absolutely is the federal level. But this is kind of to Paul and to Keith's point. It's also at the state level, right? In my perfect world, perfect maybe is, in my better world, how about that? In my better world, the goal of state government would be to protect the individual from the local bullies. There will be local bullies, always. There are local bullies now. But right now, those local bullies are doing the bidding of the state and federal bullies. So there's no one to protect us from the local bullies. So the state government should be there to protect us from the local bullies. And the federal government should be there to protect us from foreign bullies and also state bullies. That's what government's supposed to do. We're supposed to kind of rule ourselves, and then the state and federal governments defend our rights. That's not even close to true. I mean, nowhere near true. But I'm going to go back to what Dennis brought up, the idea of never letting a crisis go to waste. After what Craig brought up, the Maui fires, no one's going to say, oh, well, you know what we needed? We needed more community to be able to spot this, fix this, evacuate people, set up their own breaks, fire breaks, things like that, all those things. No. What they're going to say is, government failed us. So you know what we need? More government. I'm not joking. That is literally already happening and will be happening in droves after that. We'll have more government. We'll need more and more government, even though government failed us. Doesn't matter. Because we're at a point right now where we can't imagine any other answer. The answer has to be government. It cannot be community. In fact, they go out of their way to punish community. And that's the problem. And again, excuse me, if you're in trouble and you don't know how to fix your problem, you search for someone to help you. If the only entity that's going to help you is government, you take it. That's human nature. That's just human nature. I'm not mad at a person from taking the government help. You're in trouble. You need help. There's the government giving you some help. Take it. I would too. I think anybody would. You should. But the problem is the system. The problem is right now, in most cases, the only hand there is government. There's no option. There isn't a community option. And when you try to create one, government, to Patty's point, literally stops you. Oh, you want to put someone else in your apartment so you guys can maybe together save some money? So you can maybe support each other during times that are tough? Oh, good, I'll throw you both out. I'm not joking. I'll throw you both out. That'll be the answer. But wait a minute. We want to help each other. Yeah, that's not your job. That's the government's job. If that person has a problem, they should come to us, the government, and we will decide how to help them, and we will help them. And you might be listening to me and going, wow, Larry, that sounds cruel. That's our system. That's the system we ask for more of. We ask for more of that. But Larry, if we don't have rules in public housing, then the world will end. What are the rules in normal housing? Is the world ending there? Is it? I look in New York City, right? And I don't know where city you might be in and what public housing might be for you. But public housing in New York City is an embarrassment. It's a disaster. It's an embarrassment. Literally, we should be ashamed when we look at our public housing in New York City. Lots of rules. I mean, lots and lots of rules. But then the average guy or gal who owns a building, relatively hardly any rules, way better shape. In every way. In every way, way better shape. How are these rules making things better? Right? Maybe I'm crazy. I think I'm right. Michael also says from YouTube, no way New York State nor New York City can survive without federal funding. We are losing $9 billion a year as we see the largest continuous exodus of the last decade. We can't be self-sufficient. Michael, I wish you were wrong, but sadly, you are 100% correct. I wish I could sit here and tell you you're wrong. I would be lying. You're exactly correct. New York State now is losing 300,000 people per year. New York City is now under 8 million. That hasn't been true in decades. We are losing so many. And without federal funds, literally the state goes under. Our budget has been growing, and per capita, New York State has the largest budget of all of the states per capita. In actual dollars, only California has more. Texas has more people, smaller budget. Florida, more people, smaller budget. Florida and Texas both have more people, smaller budget. In fact, Florida's about half our budget, and they have more people than us. So we're doing something wrong. And somehow people keep leaving. And this goes now to Keith's point. Keith is saying now, what do we want to do? We want to have a single payer system in New York State. That's true. They are trying to make that happen. I don't think it will happen. And again, not because they like it or don't, because the insurance lobby in New York State is very strong. And unless they are somehow able to give a kickback to them, I think they'll stop it, just because that's how powerful the insurance and also trial lawyers. Unless trial lawyers believe they'll be suing the state and making money off the state, then they might be behind it, right? But the problem is, some of you don't know this, generally speaking, the state takes, and this is going to sound crazy, takes every single case all the way to the end. Why? They don't want to seem biased or racist. I'm not joking. That's actually New York State policy. It was New York City. Maybe New York City. I forgot. It's either New York City or New York State, one of the two. There's actually a policy to try to take every case, whenever possible, all the way to the end. What does that mean? It means paying a lot of money, your taxpayer money, for every lawsuit against the city and or the state. Now, if trial lawyers think they'll change that rule and they'll be able to settle fast and get paid, then maybe. Again, the people in charge don't actually care about your health care. They care about how much money they can make off the system. That's what matters. The saddest part of all of this is I think most of our elites know exactly what you're talking about, Michael. They get it. You get it. They get it, right? Of course, I get it. They've decided that the war is over. They've decided that Rome is burning. And they're going to try to grift as much as they can until Rome goes under. And that's what I think is happening right now. God, that sounds horrible. But Keith is right. We've got to start keep fighting. I want us to keep fighting. There is still hope. Once we push, if we push far enough, it'll fall over. I want it to. Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Radio. Thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon. I will rise.